Alright guys, welcome. Okay, so this video is going to be a couple things. I'm going to try to fit it all into one. I'm going to do a little macro of a customer's order. He wanted to check it out. If you guys know, he's a subscriber and he's on here at YouTube, Peter Moore. If you guys don't know him, the guy's handled many different knives, all high-end stuff, and he's really a stickler for the details. He's really he's not new to knives. His channel is new, but his knowledge and sense of all the knives, the fit and finish, that's his thing. He's all about fit and finish. So he got this knife from me, and he wanted to see pictures of it, and I was like, look, I'll just do a macro showing all the details of it, and then and at the same time I'll talk cool and fast about the lock on the Warren Thomas knives and how to break it in. Now it comes packaged like this, feet. So okay, now the main thing, let's talk about the lock first. Okay, lockup on the Warren Thomas knives, it's not carbonized, it's not polished on the blade tang. Because Mr. Thomas said he tried all those different things, and it just made it worse. What he ended up doing is it's just titanium on titanium, nothing else. But they all tend to stick, and that's all of them. That's true. And what happens is, this titanium can flex. All of this entire knife is non-magnetic. I took a magnet to it, and you can check all of it. No steel. So what happens is, titanium is more flexible. It's like titanium pot clips. It can flex. There is some, just ever so slightly. There's, it's like Mr. Thomas says. Don't quote him. This is just what I'm saying. Perhaps, when I regurgitate it, it might be incorrect. But in a way, you could say I'm saying it's kind of spongy, maybe. So when you open it, if you open it hard, or if you, especially if you shake it open, which you can with this knife, it will. We'll see. There's mine, right? Okay. It'll, that little possible vibration, that little micron of movement, that not even a millimeter of just give, can cause the lock to go in further. And that doesn't help when you're trying to break it in, because the surface of this lock bar and the surface of the lock bevel on the blade tang are not smoothed out yet. And what I feel is what happens is when it engages too far, and then you have to unlock it, and it grinds really hard on that lock bar, you just lost a lot of material. I feel like what you want to do with the lock bar is kind of let it, keep opening it nice and slow and clean, and try to get to wear out as little as possible, of this lock bar, this overall surface. You want to slowly kind of just smooth out that section, because then what will happen is it will create like a little shoulder. It'll create like a little ridge. You see what I'm saying? And then that area will be coarse, and it'll keep it from going in further when you open and close it. So it'll kind of preserve it eventually. So you get what I'm saying? If right here, if I keep wearing out just that half of that lock bar top, then eventually it'll do that, and that will kind of keep it from going in too far. Now, if on the flip side, if I'm messing with it, like for example, when I first get it, if I start trying to test blade play and you really tweak it and stuff, open it hard, then right off the bat, it's going to engage too far and scrape all that off, and it's just going to keep scraping the entire surface. Eventually that'll probably create a lockup that's fine, but for me, I feel that the proper way now, after this now owning two, is that's the better way to do it. Because on the first one, I started going hard on it and abusing it, and the lockup is definitely over-engaged. It's kind of a mess now, and I gotta go send it in, perhaps, Mr. Thomas. But the thing is, all that stuff's under warranty. It's Mr. Thomas' warranty is just badass. It's by far one of the best. Now, his lockup is, generally speaking, it's always. This is kind of early. It varies. I feel like most of his lockup, about 50% at least, they're always directly underneath the blade tang, about 50%. So that can vary, but I will say this. Like for example, this one has some slight movement. Kind of like a slight, it's there, it's solid, but perhaps it's more just in the lock bar, and I could tighten it. But like I said, Mr. Thomas pressure tightens this side all the way down. So if I tighten this side, what's going to happen is it'll remove it, but of course it's going to pull the blade towards the display side. And when it does that, it's going to change then the angle of the lockup. It's going to take that lock bevel that's like this, and when I tighten it, if it moves the blade, you understand, that way, the blade's now tilted like that. When I open it, it's like that. You get what I'm saying? If see this? What I'm saying, like it'll pull the blade this way, and so the whole blade is shifted like this now. So when it opens, it's shifted like that. The lock bevel, you know, if it's slanted normally like this, because the blade is now tilted more, it'll slant less and it'll engage further in. So I don't want to mess with it. I don't tinker with it, not in this case, because you know this is a light tactical folder. That's what Mr. Thomas's knives are definitely. Okay, just lightweight, low maintenance, basically no maintenance, tactical folders. Now, and I've heard feedback from people that the lockups last a long time, and I've never heard anyone have a problem. So I'm assuming that if you just take care of it, use it right, break it in properly, it should be good. Now, are all lockups perhaps have a little bit of blade play? Like I said, you can correct the blade play. I mean, it's possible I can go in there, you know, flip a washer here or there. The washers are same, or maybe like, you know, loosen this side or something and then tighten that side. And I could probably tweak it because of the pivot style of being two males, just like on Spyro Sage, how you can move it around. But I would prefer not to right now because, you know what, it's not necessary. You know, Perimultra 2 has a little bit of play, no big deal. But the lockup is really strong. I mean, it is. You can hear this, like it echoes down the street when I'm taking a walk, and you know, and messing with it. Now, you can see here though. Let me show you real fast. The Ryu, the lock bar, the blade is about 5 millimeters. Okay, the lock bar is about the thickness of Sebenza blade, so about a little bit more, about the 3.2 mark. Okay, here's a RC. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Mr. Thomas says no big deal. If you guys like it and you want it to be anodized, he'll do it, and he'll hook us up. So here is Pete's. Now, Pete's locks up early because, you know, Pete's a stickler for this, and definitely I agree. If you're going to get one, it's better if you can get it early on. I have another satin one that locks up 50%. It's about 60%, but it's already smoothed. So if you like that one, whoever's watching this video, you know, I'll probably give you a little discount just because, you know, I do personally feel that a early lockup is what you want. Like this one started earlier, like around, you know, 10%, 20%. 10% like early, and now it's like there, you know. First of all, the lock bar is, I would say, about the same, both 5mm blades, but you can see how early this locks up. Now this one is solid. This one right now, the lock is barely touching it. Like, I mean, look, it's not even, if I open it, it doesn't even look like it's locked, right? I mean, but it is. I mean, so, but again, I'm not gonna. I was telling Pete that, you know, we should right now try to be nice on that lock area, let it break in slowly, you know, preserve it, you know, and kind of just let it take its time. And so, regardless, if you guys never held one of his lockups, generally speaking, unless for some reason it's an exception like this, which I will note if you ever buy one from me, I'll tell you what it's like. It's solid, like rock solid. Like I would say it's more than. I mean, let's see, a Sebenza here. I mean, Sebenza's solid, yeah, you know? It's kind of got that kind of solid feeling, definitely. I mean, it's some good stuff. And here you can show, so you want to see like a macro of it. So we can just talk about some of the craftsmanship. You can see the bevel. Let's see, we'll follow the bevel around. Okay, Pete? Nice clean bevel. You can see it going all the way around. We're following that right there. Beveled all the way around, look at that. You can see here, it's even slightly round off the spine, giving it a little bevel, you see it? Ever so slightly, both sides. Blade grinds, you know, hand done, so I mean, look at that, that's pretty, you know, that's hard. I mean, if you guys see mixed Strider customs, and they're kind of all over the place. I'm sorry, Strider, but you know, this is pretty good for what kind of grind this is, and that kind of, you know what I mean? Look at that. You know, you can see the consistency of the secondary bevel doesn't change. Or I mean, I remember I got my Trizula Strider, and that was like $1,000 or something, one of 25, and Mr. Trizula's grinding on it wasn't necessarily symmetrical. Now this is pretty impressive, you know, fit and finish. I mean, definitely I would say Warren Thomas is above the craftsmanship of the Strider guys, and but perhaps depending on a full-on Trizula custom, Trizula custom is pretty immaculate. You see, the centering, I was telling Pete, is a little, well, actually it looks even here, right? I mean, it actually, I was telling him that it seemed biased towards the TI side, but right now it looks like it's about centered. I was telling him, like I said, it has to break in. The washers and stuff are normally not like broken in, but this has a pretty smooth action, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy this, Pete. When you close it, it has a soft, kind of cushioned closing. Like it doesn't, you see, it doesn't even hear anything. It's got like some kind of padding there. I mean, the blade is pretty solid. I mean, you have to really torque it. I mean, you can't really like, if I push down on this, you know, it's not hitting the scale, see? So it's a pretty solid construction there. Let's see what else. I mean, overall, oh, the G10 scale. So, you know, this is all pretty random, but, you know, Pete being a stickler, you can see here, you see how this one, it shows the blue, but it's kind of muted. It's really not, it's just subtle hints, and there's perhaps that one little blue section over there. You can see it, guys. It's just popping up a little bit more. You know, it's hard because, I mean, you know, you lay it just wrong or right, and colors, and you go a certain amount of depth, and it won't show. And like on mine, you see how it shows more right here again. And but you can kind of see that those little blue lines, but they kind of disappear perhaps here. A little bit more shows right there. You see it? Okay. This one, look, it's completely even. You see the blue in between all the black. So this one is immaculate. As I was telling Pete, you owe me, man. This is like one of the best ones. And you know, like that kind of lockup, all the bevel work on the G10. I mean, look, it's a. Mr. Thomas is telling me that when he makes a batch, he always makes extra parts and pieces because in case one doesn't come out right or doesn't look as good, you know, they end up being sitting in the shop, and he always ends up with spares, you know, and parts sitting around because he wants to make sure that the ones that go out are usually the nicest, you know. You can see here. So that's just a quick little macro of this, so Pete can look at. As I was just saying, I was telling Pete, you know, you just use it. I mean, that's the nice thing about Mr. Thomas's knives, that I mean, he'll refurbish them. I mean, he just seems like that kind of guy. Like, I mean, you could just use it. You have a problem, let him know. Let's see what he can do. I mean, it's something that you know. I mean, it's better than Chris Reeve warranty even. It's just it's really something that I'm getting the impression that, you know, I mean, it's something you can really enjoy, and that's what it looks like. So this is what it looks like on this side. Okay, Pete. Like I said, I told him it looks like a big crazy cleaver. It weighs nothing, but it looks like a humongous cleaver. I mean, it is a huge knife. I mean here, if we take a Paramilitary 2 and compare, okay, you know, or even let's see, a small Sabenza. Okay, let's see. Here's a Delica. Sage 2. So you can kind of see the size comparison here. Very nice. You know, big folder, but lightweight. And and a little quick size comparison, I guess, for those who are curious. The same, about the same. The Ryu might be just ever so slightly, but that's pretty much the same. So, alright, man. Let me know what you think when you get it. Okay. Thanks, guys.